Today the focus is on writing a rule to represent a function. It should be a brief video because the process is very direct. You'll just have to make sure you pay close attention to the wording and make wise choices. The good news about this chapter is that the first week of work that we did, or last week's work, is probably about as tough as it is, and as long as you have time to kind of get that down, it should kind of end up as a good unit for you. The first step in writing a rule is to represent a function is understanding how to represent the total amount. You're going to have to read the question and see what they want you to have as the total. Sometimes they give you something like a t of x, or they'll say what is the total p, or what is the total t, or whatever, and you have to make sure you know that part. The second step is representing the parts that create the total correctly. Sometimes they'll have a positive value or a negative value. Sometimes the value that they give you takes away from the total, which means it'll be negative. Most of the time it adds to the total, which makes it positive. And then you also have to ask yourself if this value that they give you is going to be repeated over and over, which means it gets a variable, or is it a value that is just placed once. For example, whenever you rent a car for somebody, they usually charge you in the beginning, but they don't charge you as much, or they charge you in the beginning a flat fee, and then they might charge you per mile or per day or whatever after that. So one of those numbers gets a variable, the other one does not. These are the steps that we're going to continue to work with as we go through the examples. So this is your examples. Again, very quick video. I'm just going to kind of walk through some of these things, discuss them, and make sure that you understand what's going on. It says write a function rule to represent each situation. It says the total cost C for p pounds of copper if each pound costs $3.57. Remember, I said the first thing you got to do is find out how they want you to represent the total. They say the total costs C, so we want to start with C equals. Now what we have to do is figure out what they are doing here. So you're buying p pounds of copper, and each pound costs $3.57. This is a keyword that usually tells me that I'm going to attach a variable, because if each pound costs $3.57, that means that I'm going to probably multiply $3.57 times the number of pounds. And really there's no other information, that's it. And if you think about it, if I buy 1 pound, it should cost $3.57. If I buy 2 pounds, it should be $3.57 times 2, and so on. So this would be your answer that you would get on that. So it's not very difficult, again, not compared to what we've been doing, but it is a situation that you have to be careful on. You have to make sure you represent it right. It says the amount Y of your friend's allowance if the amount she receives is $5 less than the amount X you receive. We are talking for a total here. Again, the first thing you have to do is find the total. I'm assuming your friend's allowance is going to be the total, so we'll start with Y equals. And it says the amount she receives is $5 less than, I've seen that phrase before, the amount X you receive. And if it's $5 less than X, I believe less than, remember, means move the 5 to the back, so it should be X minus 5 to represent that situation. So again, very basic, very simple. It's just one of those things where if you do not carefully put what you're supposed to put, then you're going to get it wrong. T is 8 more than half of N. There's no words here, but here's what I see. I see this word is, which usually means equals, and so it means it should be T equals. And it says 8 more than. Again, more than means usually add 8. Now we're talking half of N, and what I told you before is that the word of means you're multiplying. So half of N means you would put 1/2 N plus 8 to represent T. So you might need to practice this stuff a little bit like everything else, but these are just the skills that you're going to be using. Again, 8 more than half of N means take 1/2 times N and add 8 to it. Y is 5 less than the product of 4 and X. Again, I don't see anything talking about a total, but I do see the word is, which means it's obviously Y equals. I see the word less than, which means usually it means I'm going to subtract whatever is in front of it, so minus 5. And product means multiply 4 and X, so it means I should have 4X minus 5 as my option there. There are also what we call realistic situations that give you a scenario. Whenever you face these situations, again, be sure to slow down and think. Typically, as some of you have learned on your quizzes, if you rush or fail to do so, it'll cause you to make silly mistakes. So don't rush through this stuff. Again, just take your time. It says the price P of a pizza is $6.95 plus 95 cents for each topping on T on the pizza. It wants a rule to represent it. I think the total would be the price, and so I think I would put P equals. And this is where you have to now look and say, you know, what numbers make the price of the pizza. The first off, it's going to charge me $6.95. Now I have to think, is this $6.95 going to get charged more than once? Let's read again. The price P of a pizza is $6.95 plus something else. So I think that that $6.95 is regular. But I am going to add 0.95 for each topping. Again, the word each tells me I'm probably going to multiply this, so 0.95 for each topping T means that I probably just put a T on that. So again, if I have 0 toppings, it's nothing here, it's just $6.95. If I have 1 topping, it's 95 cents plus $6.95. 2 toppings again, and so that word kind of tells you what you're looking for there. So just again, look for it, find the wording, practice the skill. The more you practice it, the better off you will be in terms of just looking at it and figuring it out. The load L in pounds on a wheelbarrow is the sum of its own 42-pound weight and the weight of the bricks it carries. Write a rule to represent the load if each brick weighs 4 pounds. I think we're talking about a rule to represent the load, which would probably represent my total, and so it would be L equals. Again, now let's look and see what goes into it. It says it's the sum of its own 42-pound weight. So is 42 pounds going to get repeated in this load? I don't think so, because it's just the weight of the wheelbarrow. So I'm going to put 42, and again, notice it says sum, so I'm going to add on the weight of the bricks. Well, it says that each brick, again here you see that keyword, each brick weighs 4 pounds. And so what I will do is go ahead, since they don't give me another variable, is if it's each brick, then I'll probably use the letter B, and so I'll put 4B. So it's 4 pounds per brick plus 42 pounds of the wheelbarrow, or 42 pounds plus 4 pounds per brick. Again, per, each, and per, those words kind of tell you. And if it's 0 bricks, again, it's just 42. 2 bricks would be 42 plus 8. 10 bricks would be 42 plus 40. And so that's how it works out. It says a helicopter hovers 40 feet above the ground, then it climbs at a rate of 21 feet per second. Write a rule that represents the helicopter's height h above the ground as a function of time t. Again, height is what they want you to represent, so you put h equals. If it's hovering 40 feet above the ground, that means that's where it's starting. So we're going to start with 40. And it says it climbs, which means it goes up. So we want to add 21 feet per second. Well, if it's per second, it's going to be 21. Again, the word per means multiply, and I think they want it based off of t. So it should be 21t. Again, 40 feet plus 21 feet per every second, per every second that you have here. So if it's 2 seconds, it'll be 21 times 2, and so on. That would be how you represent that. Again, you have to just make sure you read it, recognize the variables, make sure you think through it. As much as it is a quick answer, it is an answer that you have to kind of do some research for. A taxi charges $4.77 for the first mile and $1.05 for each additional mile. Write a rule for the total rate R as a function of total miles M. I think you're talking about the rate, again, is usually the final total, so it'll be R equals. And notice it charges $4.77 for the first mile. They are not going to charge that $4.77 again, so this does not get a variable, but it says it charges $1.05 for each additional mile. Again, there's your word each, and it's each mile, so I think it would be plus 1.05 M. You should have a lot of time now to work on your computer stuff. Again, make sure you're going back and redoing or finishing any of your homework assignments there. If you finish any of those, make sure you write down on a piece of paper what you took and what grade you got. I'm still not going to make you show work because of the level of difficulty of this unit, so you're not having to do that yet. You should show work so that you can practice for the quiz, but in terms of what I need for you to get makeup work, just make sure you write down your name on a piece of paper, whatever the title of the quiz or homework that you did, and what the new grade is, if it was from 4.1 through 4.3. Other than that, like I said, use the rest of the time to work, and if you run out of stuff, there is a whole bunch of C assignments out there. Whatever you do, do not get caught just messing around or sitting and doing nothing, because I think we have a lot of stuff that we can be doing. Good luck.